Good evening and welcome to our Wednesday night talk sponsored by the Noohra Foundation. My name is Hanny Freiwat, and I will go ahead and open with the Lord's Prayer in the Aramaic tongue, the way Jesus of Nazareth spoke it over 2,000 years ago. أوون دوش ميانت قداش شماخ تأتي ملكوتاخ نهوي صبيانخ إكنا دوش ميا أبر حولان لحمة سنكانا يومنا واشفق لان حوبين إكنا داب حنان شوقن الحيوين لا تعلن لإنسيونا إلا بصا من بيشة مثول دي لاخي ملكوثة حي لو تشبحته العالم عالمين آمين. Well, I'm going to jump right in. Spirit has been kind of working with me. What's on my mind is what's happening in the Middle East. It's affecting me directly again. We are in the process of trying to find flights for my parents and one of my nephews to get out of the Emirates. We have other extended family members as well that we're trying to kind of get out of harm's way. And by the way, if you're new with us, welcome. And part of what we do is today my talk might end up being a little shorter than usual, which should be okay. But if you do have questions about what I'm talking about or anything in the Bible or anything going on, please don't hesitate to add that into the Q&A section, and try not to use the chat. I do have it open, but usually it's easier for me to manage through the Q&A. So with that said, I've been asked a lot of questions about what's happening in the Middle East and how do I feel about it and so forth. So I will start there. My position with this war is the same as with any other war. I believe Jesus was against any type of violence. I think the Bible is against violence. If we go to the core commandments of do not kill, I know some people are changing that, and some Bibles are using do not murder. But I truly believe that we are not supposed to kill any human being, any form, because I believe, and if you've been studying with me and Dr. Errico, we're all one spirit. We are from one source. We are all children of God. We are all in the image of likeness, image and likeness of God. So male and female, it doesn't matter. We have all the same soul, the same spirit that goes through us. So any type of harm that we inflict on each other is I'm against it. I think Jesus was against it. He never preached anything that would promote violence. So with that said, we always want, and the Bible has some other places where it does talk about God's vengeance and enemies of God and people who are not believe in God, and there is a lot of religious violence, and Dr. Errico is doing on his Saturday series. He's talking about violence in the name of the cross, but I think we can say violence in the name of God. The Bible sometimes is used in ways that, and if you're studying with Dr. Errico on Saturday, he's explaining how it was written and what the intent of it was and so forth. So if you haven't registered or missed the first session, make sure that you register, and that way you probably can get the video, at least the recording that we have for the people who register and pay for the class. So go into scripture. I mean, and Dr. Errico did this not too long ago in his Flashes of Light. If you haven't been listening to those, they're available on TikTok and on the YouTube channel as well. And he did a very, very quick part on this one. I'm going to go a little bit more in detail. And I'm reading from the Gospel of Matthew. That's the one that came to me. I went back and looked at the commandments. As I said, one of the commandments that Moses gave us, and as he's trying to build a new society, was do not kill, because that he was dealing with tribal vengeance and revenge mentality, and life was cheap. And we're talking about a long, long time ago that there was slavery, there was a lot of bad practices, and he was trying to build a new society, and he wanted to set the standard higher than what was available at the time. So he forbade killing. Not just murder. It's any killing of human beings Moses was against it. That said, he was ruthless. So if he said one thing, but sometimes he himself violated that and found reasons why he should violate that. Jesus was different. So I'm going to Matthew 5, and let's say I'll start with 17. Do not suppose that I have come to weaken the law or the prophets. I have not come to weaken, but to fulfill. So that this is why I'm mentioning Moses. Jesus was being accused of changing things that are getting the movement or his followers away from the what we call the Hebrew Bible, the Torah, the prophets, the combination of the books that form what we some Christians call the Old Testament. And he said, no, 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 I am not coming here to change that. Actually, it's the exact opposite. I'm coming to fulfill it, to complete it, to kind of pick into the core of it and give you something practical to work with. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not even a jot or a dash shall pass away from the law until all of it is fulfilled. So he's saying that the laws, and again, not all the book, and as the book is complicated and has a lot of stories, but when it comes to the law, when it comes to the commandments, when it comes to the core of what the religion that Abraham had, what as last Wednesday Dr. Erico told us, Abraham was not the founder. He was a part of a religion, the children of God. And Dr. Erico is going to speak more about it next week, so I'm not going to take his talk away. But this is what Jesus is coming. He's constantly saying this is what he's using our Father for God. He's saying we are the children of God. He's bringing us to that duty, that role that all of us need to become aware of, to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, to start manifesting it. It's here. I mean, it doesn't need us to do anything special. But when we start acting the way Jesus is telling us to act, then we are getting that we're manifesting it. We're changing the dynamic of humanity and building a new way of doing things, the right way of doing things. So, whoever therefore tries to weaken even one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. So so even though I mean think about Jesus was so brilliant in using language, in that he didn't exclude anybody from the kingdom. You can't. I mean, you're born with that membership. Now, whether you become aware of it and act like a member, so if you're doing bad things to the commandments, you're still in the kingdom, but you're the least. You're missing the target. You're not quite fulfilling your full potential of being a child of God. So, but you're there. You are a child of God. Now, but anyone who observes and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So I get that question a lot. It's like, how do you enter the kingdom? Just the kingdom is at hand. That was the beginning of his ministry. The kingdom is here. Okay, it's been here. It's always going to be here. It will always exist. But how do you get into it? Is by, he's giving us one of the clues here. If you teach, not just act and teach, and you teach by behaving that way. You don't teach by sitting and just talking about it. Okay, so I try, I'm usually, if you've been with me long enough, you know that I'm sometimes uncomfortable doing these sessions because I like to teach by manifesting. I like to teach by being kind, by being compassionate, by caring, and by living those principles. And that's very hard. And by constantly challenging myself, do I have enemies? And if the answer is ever yes, do I love them? Do I really feel compassion towards them? Do I feel like if I saw them on the side of the road injured, or if they are in need, I would actually extend a hand? That's my challenge. That's what I'm preparing myself constantly to do. Those are the core teachings of Jesus's children of God. They'll know you. I mean, when he talked about the blessed are the peacemakers. Why? What did he call the peacemakers? And this is just like a few verses before where I started. The humble, blessed are those who mourn, the meek. The peacemakers will be known as the children of God. See, so he's pulling us in that direction. So I say to you, that unless your righteousness exceeds, so see, now he's pushing past Moses was creating a nation, managing these, hard to manage tribes in a time where they had enemies and tribal mentality, and they were killing each other and coveting each other's properties and stealing wives and slaves and so forth. It was just chaotic. When Moses came to rule with an iron fist, he really laid the law and then backed it with power. Jesus is different. So for I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. So, so now he's setting the bar, and now the scribes and Pharisees are listening to him, and they're good followers of the laws of Moses, and they're educated, and they can read the books of the Torah. And here he is, he's saying, if that's the bar, it's not good enough. Okay, because they had a lot of hypocrisy, they had a lot of judgment, they were not all inclusive. They looked at the Samaritans with contempt, dislike. They had enemies. They wanted to get rid of the Romans and rebel against them. They didn't like each other. The Pharisees and the Sadducees were on opposite sides. Jesus was a uniter of humanity. So he said, if that's your standard, it's not good enough for the kingdom. They missed the target. So we better be better than that. So you have heard. So now he's getting to the roots of. So what does the commandment of Moses say? And I'm looking at, I don't know what's considered the fifth or the sixth. That the first ones are focused on, because Moses was trying to institute, we have one God. And every time he looked to this way or that way, or climbed the mountain to meditate or something, his people went and participated in the other gods that were around. And Moses's God was more of a tribal God. So when we talk about the children of God and Abraham and the religion that existed before Abraham, Moses was doing something different. He was establishing an actual religion. Jesus is not there. So anyway, one of his commandments is you shall not kill. And a lot of that was directed as like between each other. Because as I said, he killed, and then eventually he wanted to conquer land, and he knew conquering land means killing other people, and so his followers were not taught the way Jesus taught his disciples and apostles, not the way we're supposed to behave. Moses had a different perspective, and this is what's dangerous about the Bible, because just this weekend, with this war happening and so forth, a lot of churches were preaching, that Israel is superior to all of us, and God promised them the land, and God made them better than everybody else. God would never do that. And that's not in Abraham, and that's not in Jesus. That's a specific mindset written by tribal people to protect their tribe and give them the right to do what they need to do. They're the writers of this book. We happen to adopt this book as our spiritual guide, and that's why a lot of people leave religion altogether. Because if this is your guide and you're not trained on how to go through it and how to find what the truth that's in it, you will be misguided. And there are a lot of people out there, a lot of ministers, a lot of rabbis, a lot of imams, a lot of people who are called spiritual leaders, who are really religious leaders, and they are not in touch with what this really is all about. And this is the kind of work that I do on myself, to actually, when I run into these people, especially the ones who are misguiding, how do I love them? How do I continue to whether they send suicide bombers, or they send jets to kill, or whatever they do, I still look at them as me. They are part of me. I am a part of them, and I love them as much chaos as they're creating. And that's why when people ask me, what do you feel about this war? Was it this guy that we killed is a really bad guy? He was, but he's a child of God. That's the truth. And the people who dropped the bombs on him to kill him, well, they're children of God. And remember, the one thing that Jesus came to save us from, the one sin that he came to save us from, is ignorance. And that's what they have. That's their sin. Their sin is ignorance. They bought into a religious dogma. They bought into nationalism. They bought into superiority. They bought into racist theory, superior, race versus another. All these things are in existence, and that's why we continue to have these clashes. Jesus went above that. So what did he say? You have heard. This is the Moses commandment. And remember, he's saying, I'm coming to fulfill. You have heard that it was said to those who were before you, the olden days, you shall not kill, and whoever kills is guilty before God? No, is guilty before the court. So this is what Moses did. He instituted the law, and then he said that he set up a legal system, because initially those were moral laws. People knew it's the wrong thing to do is to kill somebody, or to covet their wife, or to treat your parents badly. All those were commandments. That's Moses, again, is trying to raise his society. Now Jesus is saying that if you kill, you're guilty by the time Jesus came, killing somebody was a crime. Now, who was enforcing that law? The Romans. They were ruthless. I mean, they conquered most of the world. They killed with no mercy. They enslaved people and shipped them back to Rome as slaves, or used them in different places. They looked at people from different, who are not full Roman citizens, as less than them. So Jesus is living in this community, and yet he says, but I say to you that whoever becomes angry with his brother for no reason is guilty before the court. So in his court, if you become angry for no reason. Now, as I said before, Jesus himself got angry sometimes, but he did not kill people. He did not hit people. And I've been asked that. And if we read like his episode at the temple, he turned the tables and yelled at those people. He did not go and hit them. So that's very important. He could show anger with a situation, and he would be upset with people, but he did not harm them. He just told them, you're doing the wrong business. So now, but in this case, when he's tweaking from killing to anger, so he's elevating, I mean, he's elevating the society. You know, the bar is no longer kill somebody. The bar is don't be angry with somebody for no reason. And if they anger you, don't make it go into that next phase of physical harm or death. So that's the elevation of Jesus versus Moses. That's the elevation of Jesus versus most of the writings in the Bible prior to him. So guilty before the court. So his court is different. And whoever should say to his brother, Raka, which means I spit on you, is guilty before the congregation. And whoever says to his brother, you are effeminate, this is the Dr. Lamsa's translation, is condemned to hellfire, to mental torment. Okay, so because when we use these, and now I'm going to take you back, and I don't have to take you back very far. I'll take you to the Middle East today. I'll take you to Iraq or Jordan or Jerusalem or Gaza or Damascus. Okay, that if you did these things today, that culture is still alive. Spitting is big, and that's a way to insult somebody. So here's Jesus going. Moses says, "Do not kill." Jesus sets that at the bottom of the bar, and he starts dismantling these bad habits in society of insulting, of calling somebody effeminate. We do it here in the US. We have a lot of words that mothers use sometimes with their sons, and fathers with their daughters, and so forth, that are harmful, that you cannot undo. And Jesus is to be in the kingdom, to be a child of God, to behave like God would want you to be, like God behaves with us. You have to set the standard much higher than what even society expects of you. And law is way at the bottom. Our laws are bare minimum. I mean, they're just basically animal kingdom and then our laws. And then Jesus is going, okay, to be fully human, to be fully a follower of his teachings, and totally. And his teachings guide not to Jesus's glory, but they guide to being a child of God. That's the highest rank you can receive. It's not that believe in Jesus Christ. He wasn't even known as Christ in this time. People were starting to murmur and predict, is he the one we're waiting for? Is he the anointed one? Is he the special one? And he was like, I am not important. What I'm teaching you is what's important. If you do it in my name, means you do it in my method, not actually invoke the name Joshua or Jesus or Yeshua, that which was his actual Aramaic name. So that is so important in how and this is what we need. This is what we need in the White House. This is what we need in the government in Iran. This is what we need in the government in Israel or any of those other countries that are involved right now in this. In Russia, in the Ukraine, in Sudan, in Libya. I mean, a few months ago, I pulled up a map of conflict in the world, and we're constantly killing each other for stupid reasons, for wealth that ends up filtering to 3-4, actually less than 1% of all humanity. I mean, think about it, and then people get all passionate and back one side versus the other. They're going to abuse you. If you win, you're going to abuse your brother and sister, and if you lose, your brother and sister are going to abuse you. It's a losing formula, and we've been living with that mentality for literally thousands of years. And now it's shame on us because we have the enlightenment. It's available, not all of it. As you've seen me before, I hold a few pages and I go like, something like this has our enlightenment, but people want to use this, and this creates more of the confusion, more of the abuse, more of the hate. So it's so important that if you're studying Jesus, to know Jesus's teachings, and then to know how to become a child of God and how to respect all forms of life. Everybody, regardless of color, of belief system, of nationality, of gender, of all this stuff is just labels that we invent. So continuing with Jesus. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this because I can't believe that I'm dealing with it again and again. I keep hoping that somehow we go past it. So if it should happen, therefore, that while you are presenting your offering upon the altar, see, do this in contrast to Moses. Moses was all about you mess up, you come to the altar and you bring us a pigeon or an oxen or money or what, something. So mess up means good business for the temple. Jesus is the opposite, presenting your offering at the altar, and right there you remember, it crosses your mind that your brother has any grievance against you. What do you do? Do you please the God of the altar, or leave your offering there upon the altar and first go and make peace with your brother, and then come back and present your offering? So some people have asked me in the past, like, well, if Jesus is really coming to fulfill the law and continue this, should we celebrate the different occasions, the different days, the different feasts, and so forth? Those were all cultural. So, and this is why Jesus did not emphasize that in his teachings. He didn't say, well, make sure on this day of the month, do this and do that. He knew that if he told the Romans that, they would have no frame of reference. They would have no perspective of what he's talking about. So he elevated his message to be applicable to all of humanity. When he says, "Do not get angry with your brother. If your brother has a grievance against you, go make peace. And make peace in Aramaic is go surrender to your brother or sister or neighbor or parent or whoever has a grievance. So brother here is any human being that you might have a grievance with you. Go fix it. Go surrender to them. Go tell them, I'm sorry, let's fix this. I can't even go and put my offering, for my God on the altar in my spiritual place until I solve this, until I untie this, until I ask for your forgiveness. And then now how they behave. See, Jesus was also good at knowing that sometimes people will go like, no, I will never forgive you. Okay, what you did to me was so harmful. You called me this in public, or you spat on me, or you got angry with me in public. I'm not going to forgive you. That's not your problem. You do your part and you tap and be sincere with it. And how they behave, that's their problem. And because now we're elevating society. If everybody who went to church on Sunday stood outside and said, wait, I have a grievance, let's fix this, and then come back an hour later, imagine that energy that's going to go out to the world that says we're going to go create peace with one another. And then we'll come back as a community. And imagine how much lighter that community is and how that church service would change dramatically. The offering will come, that the abundance will come, but the singing will be louder and more joyful. The message will be more positive. And imagine if every week, nobody entered until they went and fixed any debt. See, this is why Jesus said in the Lord's Prayer, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." That's part of it, is creating that forgiveness, creating a society. Now imagine at a nation's level, instead of saying, you've been at me for so many years, now I have the weapons, I can come after you. Or there is a moment of opportunity where you're weak or not looking the right way, I'm going to go bomb the heck out of you and try to annihilate you. Imagine if that was replaced by true reconciliation, by true forgiveness, by opening borders, by accepting each other, by opening job opportunities across the way. Instead of kids dying on rubber boats in the channel in frozen water or in the Mediterranean or off the coast of Africa. And they're just trying to escape war, escape persecution. And then we have a mindset of like, no, I'm going to build a wall. This is mine. This was given to me by God or by the king or by who, right? Versus your humanity, your compassion. And I get labeled as liberal and I'm not. I don't think of myself as liberal. I don't think of myself as left wing or right wing or any wing. I just love humanity. I love the people. And I have the same compassion that Jesus is given us. And I'm asking you, anybody who listens to this on YouTube, to think about it, to meditate, to study, because there is more and more and more, and open up your heart and make yourself vulnerable. I'm sure, hopefully I won't get hate comments, but I'm not condemning anybody. I'm not against anybody. All I want to see is for children who go to school in Iran or in Gaza or in Tel Aviv to go get education, play in the yard, have their lunch. I don't want to see them running away and hiding under a table from rocket warnings or rockets landing on top of them or getting killed, and all the ripple effect of that horrible type of situation that we continue to create. This is Jesus. If you don't even give your offering, and I apologize if my camera is doing weird things. That I tried to fix it before, and I know it's going back and forth, and I'll try to fix it. Something changed in my setting in the last week that I'm not sure. I wasn't aware of until I started the session. So reconcile. So the same thing. So I'm not going to go further into this. I'm at 35 minutes. He continues about how the law is not that the human societal law is not our salvation, because that's what we continue to do. It's like, we expect the United Nations to pass a resolution to solve this problem. We expect that one side of this government is going to override that side of the government to pass and he's saying that our laws fall short, way short, and they get abused anyway. If you look, the news is full of examples every day and across the globe. I'm not picking on one country or one culture or one period in time. Powerful people want to enforce the law, but not on themselves, not on their families, not on their interests, not on their companies, not on their relatives, not. It's only for the masses. So that you're always scared of the law, but most of the people who actually sit in the higher seat above the law, they feel they're above the law. So this is why Jesus goes into, don't rely on the law. It's not going to solve your problem. And I'm talking about actual legal systems in the different countries. And I remember he even took the Moses law and elevated it. So he wants the human law. He wants God's law, God's justice, which is different than ours. God created all the goodness and gave it to all of us without saying you're good, you get more, you're bad, you get more. Actually, in many cases, the way society ends up, manifesting, a lot of the bad people get the bulk of the goodness, and they hold it and they hoard it, and they, it makes them miserable, but at least they feel like they got most of it. A lot of the people who don't have much have a lot of love, a lot of family, a lot of time to spend with family, and instead of worrying about 200 businesses and how they're performing, and do I have the right team running them, and is somebody stealing from me? And so, and Jesus talked about that. Where is your treasure? Is your treasure in your neighbor and your children and the people you love and your people you interact with and work with, or is your treasure in some bank in some big number with commas and so forth? He wanted us to know who we are, what we are, and how to behave with one another. So in these crazy times, as I worry about my loved ones, if you have loved ones, out stranded somewhere. I know church groups are stranded. I know business people who are traveling vacation, people who are on vacation who had connections through the Middle East are stranded somewhere in airports. And this is only 3 or 4 days into it. Nobody knows when it's going to end. So send them your love, all of them, every one of them, because without feeling loved and without being able to manifest love yourself, it's easy to jump on a plane or sit behind a rocket launcher and shoot it at somebody thinking that you're doing the right thing. When you know that person is loves you and you should love them just as much, that exchange of bombs will die down. And that's my faith in humanity. That's my faith in the teachings of Jesus. So with that, I'll stop. I see one comment or um, question. Is there a digital version of the Lamsa Bible? There is not a legal version of the Lamsa Bible digitally. I know that there are people who somehow worked around the copyright laws and put some PDFs out on the internet. Um, it's there. I don't know how they did it. I try not to reference it when it because I know that we are still attached. The foundation has a huge presence, Lamsa presence, and I know that his estate still gets a check every time one of these commentaries or one of the Bibles are sold and so forth. So to honor that, I would not recommend to go after the Lamsa Bible online. Now, there are other versions of the Aramaic Bible done by different communities, spiritual communities who work with Aramaic, and they're pretty good. They're not the Lamsa Bible. So when you look at them, if you have a paper one, you can compare between the two. I wish that one day we will have a Lamsa Bible online, an official one that the Lamsa family and the publishers can also benefit from the hard work that he put into it. Good, great question. I don't see anything else. So please, first of all, I really appreciate you joining us. I appreciate your time. I know it's the most precious asset we all have. It's the only thing that we have truly, if we think about it. We appreciate your donations and your support of the foundation. And thank you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week with Dr. Errico.